ओम वक्रतुंड महाकाय सूर्यकोटि समप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। ओम श्री महागणपतये नमः। ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम। सदाशिवसमारंभां शंकराचार्य मध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्य पर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। अस्मद्गुरुभ्यो नमः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ओम श्री मेधा दक्षिणामूर्ति स्वामिने नमः। ओम सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम। श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम। ओम पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्धदामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम्। यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्र रुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्कपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः। ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तन्न विदुः सुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः। Namaste once again everyone. As I announced, I am speaking from Mayavaram, where there is no Wi-Fi in this place where I am staying. So I have connected through personal hotspot on my phone. So as long as it lasts, of course, there is enough data. That's not a problem. But if the phone signal drops, I will reconnect again. Okay, so please make a note that if the signal goes away, I will reconnect and continue the class. Okay. So we will continue like that. Today and tomorrow also we'll have the same issue. Yada samharate chayam urmonganiva sarvashah indriyanindriyartebhyah tasya prajna pratishtita. So this is the sloka we are seeing, and in the context of this sloka, we are discussing the three sadhanas or exercises which Krishna prescribes for conversion of the self-knowledge into emotional strength. And we saw some details of Nididhyasanam in the last class. Then Krishna adds two more exercises, which one of them I just started mentioning in the last class. One exercise is Indriya Nigraha. Indriya Nigraha does not mean control of sense organs. It means regulation of sense organs. And this Indriya Nigraha, that is regulation of the sense organs, is very important because the knowledge which has been gained through Shravanam and Mananam is a very frail knowledge. It's a weak knowledge and can easily be subject to negation. Many of us, after the Shravanam, Mananam and all that, when we are with friends or group of people, we will talk about Atma, Brahman and all that. then there will be enough and enough people who will say, what is Atma, Brahman and all you are talking about? Where is it? Can you see it? How can you just be such a fool to believe whatever is written in the Vedas and all that? We don't even know who wrote all those things. They just come up with some theory, Atma, Brahman and all that kind of thing, and you believe that and you are trying to teach us. Then there will be Visishta Advaitis, they will come and put there is nothing called Atma and all that. Maybe there is Atma, but then there is separate Atma for everybody. Your theory that there is only one Atma is all not sustainable. How can there be one Atma? You are different from me. So how can we both be the same Atma? So like that, there are a lot of people who will come and challenge whatever we have learned. And at some point in time, because our knowledge is not firm, some point in time, we ourselves may start getting some doubt. What these people are saying may be true. On what basis just because some Upanishad somebody has written and all that, some commentary or some lectures of Swami Paramarthananda and all I have heard, should I just be led by that or should I convince myself? So that knowledge can easily be shaken in the initial stages. And that is why this Indriya Nigraha is a very important thing. Therefore, until the knowledge becomes steady and contributes to emotional strength, a sadhaka, in this case a prajna. Prajna means the one who has the knowledge, but who is not a sthira prajna. His knowledge has not been converted yet into emotional strength. Such a person should totally avoid any violent emotions. Because violent emotions are detrimental to assimilation of Vedanta. Violent emotions are detrimental to Vedantic assimilation. Therefore, until the knowledge takes root, strong roots, it has to be protected like a sapling. Like we protect the sapling from grazing animals, even hot sun. Tender saplings needs to be protected even from the hot sun rather, because they will wither away in the heat. So until the sapling becomes a plant and then becomes a very strong tree, we have to protect it. And once the plant has become a tree, then there is no problem. Animals don't eat trees. They can't destroy it, nor can the sun or any amount of, rains or any weather condition, they will not affect the tree as much as they affect a sapling or a plant. So this knowledge which we have gained needs to become unshakable like a tree. Let any wind blow, any strong wind blow, this tree will stand there, will be unshakable. That knowledge has to become like that. So, as I said, for that to happen, for the knowledge to become very steady, one should not allow any violent emotions to take place. And if we look at it, emotions come through what? All our emotions come through the 5 sense organs. Because the world enters the mind through the 5 sense organs. It is this 5-fold world in the form of Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa and Gandha, which keeps gate crashing into my mind through the 5 doors: eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin, touch, sparsha. They keep on entering, whether I allow them or not, they just get crashed. And if any of them severally or all of them collectively can disturb the mind. Very easy. Therefore, I should be very careful. I should use my discrimination, and wherever the world can disturb the mind, I must scrupulously avoid such forms, such smells, such taste, such touches, and such sounds I should avoid. That is why my free will comes into play. The moment I sense that this particular sense object, which is entering through my corresponding sense organ into my mind, has started disturbing the mind, I must immediately shut the sense organ by way of avoiding any disturbance to the mind. This is called Indriya Nigraha. So when we are talking about Indriya Nigraha, one of the most important aspects we have to note is it is through the exercise of our free will we can do it. And Swami Paramathananda says, and which is one can experience this. I have experienced it personally. One of the basic rules is we must follow. The rule that we must follow is never get into any argument. Because argument is one thing which can very much disturb the mind. In fact, even in our day-to-day life, we find that many households, they suffer from an atmosphere of conflict which arise from difference of opinions. Difference of opinions is very natural. No two human beings can have the same opinion about any particular issue. But what is the problem? The problem is, more often than not, these difference of opinion gets converted into arguments, disturbing the peace and harmony of the household. And we have seen there are frequent arguments on silly matters. And many households, even normal conversation is carried on in an argument mode. Everyone contradicts the other. Everyone disagrees with the other. And there is constant bickering and argument and infighting. Many times this even degenerates into personal attacks also. Therefore, one must, whatever else you do or you don't do, because you have to do a lot of other things. First of all, avoid argument, which is a very highly disturbing thing. And if you actually look at it, you can see people sitting in a park and very agitatedly arguing. Even at home, they'll be watching some TV program, some match or something like that. Those people who are watching will be arguing amongst themselves. Such events, such arguments have got no relevance to their life. They argue about politics, they argue about sports event. Some people get into argument on very international issues, whether Russia will go and bomb or use atom or nuclear weapons against Ukraine. These people will be arguing. Yes or no? And both of them will, have their own points of view, which they will try to impose upon the other, and both of them will go away with a disturbed mind. All these arguments, 99% of the arguments, if you sit and think about it, have no relevance to our day-to-day living. Whether it is sports or politics or whether all this war situation, whatever it is, none of the persons who are arguing can do anything about all these things. They say so much corruption is there, this party is corrupt, that party is corrupt and all. Okay. Assuming that everybody is correct, can you do anything about it? So why the hell you are arguing about it? But the problem is everyone holds a personal view, which they cherish so much, and they feel that that is the only right view which they hold. And if someone were to contradict them, an argument follows. First of all, nothing is gained by such arguments. But one thing is certain, the peace of mind of everyone is lost by such arguments. So whether Russia is going to use nuclear weapon or not, there is already a nuclear blast taking place in many homes in the form of heated arguments. All these are why play of ego. My ego does not allow me to accept defeat, whether it is in argument or in anything. Therefore, any argument, anything that provokes raga, krodha, dvesha, kama, lobha, moha, any of these that provoke our emotional, it disturbs our emotions, you should totally avoid. Oh no. Give me a minute. I will just change the settings. I forgot to do that. I will join, but I'll come back in a minute. I have to do some change to the settings because otherwise this will end. I will end this session now. Then I. So as I was saying, all these, which can cause any emotional disturbance, we must avoid. And if another person starts arguing, and you realize that because of that argument, there is an emotional disturbance taking place, you can politely tell him, I am not ready for this exchange or any argument because my mind is disturbed. Swami Chinmayananda writes very beautifully, in an argument, more heat is generated than light. What we want is enlightenment. Light is knowledge. In an argument, nobody learns anything. Everybody is driven by their own ego and they want to establish that their point of view alone is right. I don't learn anything in an argument because I don't listen at all. Then how do you learn without listening? When the other person is arguing, I am planning my answer. I am not listening to what he says. I have just picked up one or two words and then I'm so, oh, this is where he is coming from. Now I will argue it this way. And when I am talking, he is planning the answer. So both of them are not listening to each other. Therefore, whenever you get such an occasion, you can say, I'm sorry, I am not interested. And if he still continues to talk, quit that place. That is called Indriya Nigraha. Never allow violent emotions. But Pujya Swami Dayanand Saraswati gives a very nice story. He says that if somebody comes, in fact, he narrates it. I don't know whether it's a true story or not, but given his sense of humor, he narrates that once somebody, from some other who is following some other religion, he came and started arguing with Swamiji, Pujya Swamiji, about why his religion, what it says, is correct. And Puja Swamiji initially tried to explain what is the point of view from our own culture, our own religion point of view. But the other person, he says, was sticking to what he wanted to say and continued to argue and put forth, this our religion says this, that, and all that. And Puja Swamiji says that I felt that now this is now not going to end at all, because he is not listening to what I am saying. So therefore, he says, I immediately asked him, what will you have, tea or coffee? So completely change the topic. Or if he says tea, you ask him whether you will add with sugar or without sugar. Like that, you change the topic and get rid of that situation which has got a potential to turn into an argument and then disturb your mind, lead to violent emotions. This is Indriya Nigraha. So this is the second exercise. First we saw was Nididhyasanam. Second is Indriya Nigraha. The third exercise that Krishna prescribes is Mano Nigraha. Indriya Nigraha was regulation of the sense organs. Regulations of the sense organs in such a way that we do not allow the sense objects to enter our mind through these sense organs. Those sense objects which have got the potential to disturb our mind, to create violent emotions in our mind. Whereas what is Mano Nigraha? Mano Nigraha means regulation of the thought process. Because Indriya Nigraha is the first defense. Now things have come into your mind. They have started agitating your mind. Still, you have got an opportunity to manage the situation, to regulate the situation through Mano Nigraha. Now, what is the difference between these two? There's an example. Suppose you started talking to someone and suddenly he or she starts arguing, even though you have no desire for an argument. When you started the conversation, and this happens quite often, where you have started some conversation in a very friendly manner, other person must have reacted with some comment like, nonsense, what idiotic comment you are making, like that. And that is a bait for entering into an argument. At that stage, when you hear the word nonsense, your ego will prompt a more severe reaction, which eventually could lead to a heated argument. When this happens, ignore your ego and quit that place. But if we look at it, even though you have ignored your ego and have quit that place, preventing an argument, your ego will not keep quiet. It will make you dwell or meditate upon the word nonsense, idiotic comment used by the other person. Your mind will constantly be disturbed by the hurt that this comment has caused. Therefore, even though I have physically quit, what I do, I am keeping on that word nonsense, idiotic comment, nonsense, idiotic comment. I am doing meditation upon that. And this type of a meditation which is agitating your mind, You have quit the scene. There is no argument taking place. But the very thought of the comment of the other person could keep on agitating and going, making circles in your mind. It could last for hours. It could even sometimes last for days. In fact, in many cases, I will be looking for some sympathetic person and share this exchange and try to establish how what you said was not nonsense. Your ego wants some sort of validation that what you said was correct. Till such time, it will not allow your mind to keep quiet. It will keep on disturbing. And that's why, many times we tell people when they are agitated, what is bothering you? Tell me, share it with me. You will feel light. It will lighten your mind. And that's why when this kind of, mental agitation happens, many people, they look for somebody, to tell what they feel like. But if you don't get that out of your mind, it could sometimes lead to severe depression also. And the beauty of it is when the other person said nonsense, use the word nonsense or idiotic comment or whatever provoking word that he used. At that point in time, it might not have disturbed you so much. And you quit that place also. But what disturbs your mind is dwelling upon such an event, building upon that, again and again reliving that bitter experience. And the other person could be your son, your spouse, your son-in-law, your daughter-in-law, anybody. How come he can use that word against me, nonsense? Am I such a fool that I will say something which is nonsense? These are all questions keeping on, going on in your mind. So what happens is, even the event is gone, past, I again and again recreate that event in my mind, relive those words, allow anger to build up, and I allow an emotional upheaval. Because whatever be the nature of an event, very rarely does an event produce an emotion in 1 second. Even the most tragic event, whenever we are informed about that and when we listen, first it is an information only. It is a cognitive process that is taking place. That never produces an emotion. Suppose your daughter's marriage is going to take place. I'm just giving an example. And you have got a lot of money you have collected for your daughter's marriage, lot of jewelry and all, you have kept it in your house. Because the marriage is going to take place maybe in a couple of days' time. But you find that at night somebody has robbed you of the money, jewelry, everything. There will not be any serious emotional reaction on hearing the news. Somebody will come and tell you, you have been robbed, everything is gone. At that moment, it is only information you get. But what will happen after a little while when you start dwelling upon the event? Oh my God, I lost all the money which I had saved for the marriage. What will I do now that the money is gone, the jewelry is gone? How will I show my face to my the boys' party, to my friends and relatives? And if I am not able to perform the wedding in a grand manner, what will happen to me? What will happen to my prestige? All this follow. This thinking follows. That event is over. Money is gone. If you have to go to the police or complain and all, you have to do that. That's a different matter. But the event itself starts, growing in your mind. I go on dwelling upon that. And when such thoughts continue for hours or days or even for weeks, this thought buildup turns into a powerful emotion, anger, frustration, depression, etc. Therefore, we have to understand that one thought is not an emotion. Thought buildup is an emotion. Thought buildup is in my hands. I can use my free will either to allow the thought buildup or to stop the thought buildup. I can refuse to build up that line of thinking, and that is called mental regulation. Mano nigraha. If an event causes emotional buildup, I will immediately set aside that event. After some time, even maybe 1 month or 2 months, when I am cool mind, I have got sanity. If I want to learn something from that event without emotional disturbance, I can bring that event into my mind, analyze that event, I study, and I learn a valid lesson. Once I've learned the lesson, forget it. What did they do wrong? How did this robbery take place? What was it that I could have done to avoid it? Okay, these things, if I had done, probably I should not have spoken, first of all, about this in front of so many people, that I have got jewelry in my house. So many, I'm just giving you some hypothetical thought process. But what we have to understand is how even a tragic event actually can lead, as the potential to lead to serious emotional disturbance, not because of the event itself, but because of our reliving that event again and again and again in our mind. So any event that creates emotional buildup, I avoid. I do not dwell upon that. This is called manonigraha. And when I sense a danger to my emotional balance, I set aside that thought and refuse to pay any attention to that thought. I refuse to get provoked by any such thought. This is manonigraha. In fact, this phrase, refuse to get provoked, is one of the phrases which I learned when I was very young. I was in my late teens or just 21, 22 years old. It's a beautiful, concept. I was working in the central government, in the ministry, and there are sections. Different departments are there. So there was one officer, section officer. That's what we can call a manager of another department. But my department and his department, they were both sitting in the same room, and that was a different section. And he had got certain subordinates who used to abuse this person, abuse his own officer. In Government of India, you can get away with all these things. In private company, they will, if you abuse your boss, you will be removed in 1 day. But Government of India, nobody can touch you. So his subordinates used to abuse this fellow. And I used to just watch. I was a very young fellow, So one day I asked him. He was from Kerala. His name was Radhakrishna. So I told him, sir, I see all these people abusing you and talking to you in a very rough manner. So why do react all? You don't tell anything to them. You just smile at them and you are keeping quiet. And that is actually, prompting or encouraging them to abuse you more. Then he again smiled. He told me, Ganapathy, this is something which I have learned in my life. They are doing all these things to provoke me so that they can continue doing this. I will get provoked. I will say something to them and they will say something, and then it will become a very big issue. The whole ministry, and it will go right up to the secretary level and all that. Disciplinary action and all can be taken then. Therefore, I refuse to get provoked by any amount of provocation. Whenever they say anything, it is not affecting me. I just smile at them, period. I don't even, I take it in one ear and take it out from another ear. That was the first lesson in Vedanta I learned, even though I didn't know it was a lesson in Vedanta. That refused to get provoked has stayed with me, throughout my life, even though I will admit that I have not been able to successfully practice that in all events. Sometimes I have been successful, many times without any conscious effort, I have got provoked and got into a lot of problems. But again, they are all, as I call it, learning. But the teaching was there. Refuse to get provoked. So therefore, anybody trying to provoke you by any manner, and it is, you immediately sense a disturbance to a mind, emotional disturbance, you just shut down. That is mano nigraha. Do not allow any virus to enter your mind. The moment you sense a virus is entering, shut down your mind computer. That is mano nigraha. And if indriya nigraha and mano nigraha are practiced, the benefit is what? The mind will not have violent emotions. And when the mind is steady, then alone the knowledge will get absorbed into the subconscious. In fact, Swami Paramathananda uses the example of pickle, in South India. Urigai, they call it, right? I mean, because it's called urigai because the pickling, put it in that oil and it gets pickled in that oil rather. That needs to be set aside for some period of time for it to be ready for use. Similarly, like the pickle, we have to float in the knowledge for a considerable period of time so that the knowledge that we have gained through Shravanam and Mananam, it penetrates into every cell of our body. Then alone it will transform my life. Every cell of our body has got its own cognitive faculty. Every cell has to totally absorb that knowledge. It is then that you can say, gain that emotional strength, excuse me, which will transform your life. Sorry. So therefore, 3 sadhanas are required. Nididhyasanam, Indriya Nigraha and Mano Nigraha. Or to put it differently, dwelling upon the teaching, Nididhyasanam, regulating the sense organ, Indriya Nigraha, and regulating the thought process, Mano Nigraha. And of these 3 processes, Krishna is highlighting the sensory regulation first. That is Indriya Nigraha from this verse 58 onwards up to 61. 4 verses deal with sensory regulation. And this is for the one who has become a prajna, gained the knowledge, but not a sthira prajna. That knowledge is not yet converted into emotional strength. Once you have become a sthita prajna or sthira prajna, that does not need any sensory regulation. Because the knowledge is so firm that nothing can disturb a sthira prajna. He has become like a tree. But prajna is a sapling. Therefore, the prajna sapling will have to follow these three disciplines. Sthira prajna, sthita prajna need not follow them. And therefore, Krishna gives an example here. Example for sensory regulation. And what is the example? He gives the example of a tortoise or turtle, whatever name you can call. A turtle, as we have observed, is a very slow moving animal. It has got a thick coat outside to protect it, but it can easily fall a prey to any other animal. Because unlike many other animals, a turtle, Bhagavan has not given a turtle any weapon in its hand to strike back when it is attacked. There are animals which Bhagavan has given horns. Some animals like lion and all that, very strong nails to hurt and kill the opponent. But the tortoise does not have any weapon to attack. Therefore, in any situation, it is very vulnerable. What Bhagavan has therefore done is, it has given a protective armor, a thick shell has been given. And you cannot do anything to that thick shell. You can't break it. So therefore, whenever a tortoise senses some danger, what does it do? Generally, it will be freely moving about slowly, as if, in search of prey, basically. But it will look as if it is doing some sightseeing, going here and there and all that. And the moment it senses the slightest danger, it knows that it does not have the strength to fight, and therefore it withdraws the four legs and also head within the shell. All the five things which are outside, all those five limbs which are withdrawn by the tortoise. You see the beauty of the example. The number 5 is important. Our sense organs are also 5. So whereas in the case of tortoise, it is 4 legs and 1 head, 5 limbs. In our case, it is the sense organs, 5 sense organs. They are to be withdrawn. And the tortoise remains like that, totally withdrawn, as if a rock, till the threat persists. The moment the threat is gone, again it puts out its head, its limbs, and starts moving again. Starts its journey. Similarly, a prajna can transact with the world freely. But the moment he sees that there is an occasion where raga, dvesha, kama, krodha, or etc. may be provoked or invoked, where the ego can become very strong, when another person starts an argument, the argument is such that even a non-argumentative person could become argumentative. That is the power of an argument. Right? Very difficult, I tell you. If somebody starts arguing, immediately your ego takes over. And you want to prove your point. You want to prove the other person wrong. Whatever knowledge you might have, listened to hundreds of lectures on Vedanta and all that. If this Indriya Nigraha we don't practice, it is very easy for somebody to provoke you and make you enter an argument. He will walk away because he is not a Vedanti, he is not a spiritual seeker. You are. But it will emotionally disturb your mind. Therefore, a prajna, and in our case, after having got the knowledge, a sadhaka, even you can call, needs to be on guard always. Recently, I saw one video clip of one Acharya. He gave a very nice example. He showed a sealed can of, I think, Coca-Cola or some aerated drink, sealed can, what they call in the US as soda, can of soda. And he shook that can a few times. Then he opened that can and the contents which were inside gushed out with a fizz. He said, this is all of us, samsari. All it needs is a few shakes and the samsari will become agitated. There will be an outpour of anger with lots of hiss and noise. Then that Acharya took a sealed bottle of mineral water and shook it violently. Then he opened the bottle. There was no fizz, no hiss, no gushing out. Then he said, a jnani, a sthita prajna is like this bottle of water. Whatever you do to shake him and all, there will be no fizz, no gushing out, no reaction like a samsari, like that can of Coke. The prajna is aspiring to become a jnani. Therefore, a prajna, a person who has gained the knowledge, needs to be like a bottle of mineral water. So that whoever shakes it, there is no fizz or anything coming out. Keeps cool, like a bottle of cool mineral water. Because this argument business, as I told you, even though you may not be an argumentative type, but there are some people, as I said, they provoke. And unwittingly, you will find that you are an argument. And once you get into it, you cannot go back. It's like a toothpaste. Once it comes out, it cannot be pushed back inside. So whenever you are sensing that any conversation could actually turn into an argument, you should remember the examples of soda can, mineral water, toothpaste, etc. Once you get into an argument, it is extremely difficult to escape. Therefore, prevention is better than cure. Therefore, even if you unwittingly get into an argument, you can successfully withdraw. That itself will be a great accomplishment. You can use any of the methods. You can say, I am not in a mind to discuss this or argue about this. Or you can say, change the topic. What will you have? Tea or coffee? So you must be alert and not allow any event to enter your mind through your sense organs to disturb that. And we can, as sadhakas, we can conduct all these experiments every day at home. Our daily life in our house, in our household, gives us immense, numerous opportunities to test out all these things. You can watch how situations can carry you away, carry other people away. Simple things can blow out of proportions. Therefore, Krishna says, Kurmaha Angani Samharate. Kurma, as you all know, tortoise. Samharate means withdraws its 5 limbs. Sarvashaha, from all 5 directions. But does the tortoise always remain like that? Always remain withdrawing all its limbs? No, not all the time. It does only when there is a threat. Therefore, like a tortoise withdraws its limbs, a prajnaha needs to withdraw his sense organs, and wherever there is a threat of distraction, like TV programs, again, Swami Paramathananda refers to that. There are many programs which come in the TV, which are very wonderful programs, very useful also. In fact, there's a lot to learn from those programs. But there are so many terrible programs also which can pollute the mind. So instead of seeing them and trying to regulate the mind, one thing I can do is I can decide not to see such programs at all. There is a saying, Prakshalanadhi pankasya durat asparshanam varam. Asparshanam varam. Instead of touching something, dirty and then washing your hands, better not to touch at all. Prevention is better than cure. Therefore, when it comes to our mind also, it is better to prevent rather than trying to regulate or filter the mind. In fact, prevention also is a part of regulation only. Similarly, the books you read, there are very wonderful books are there. But at the same time, there are terrible books which are like gossip books and all, magazines, for example. I don't know whether it is there. Earlier days, there used to be some Stardust and all that magazines used to be there. Full of dust only. And many books are there, filmy gossip, glamour stuff, stories about all these celebrities and all that. Many people read these and they actually try to imitate the lifestyle of those so-called celebrities. And they are always dissatisfied naturally. Because celebrities are who? They're all actors or, stage performers. Everything is artificial so far as they are concerned. And unfortunately, gullible people take them to be real and try to imitate them. And they get into trouble. Even the daily newspapers that we read, there is hardly any news which does not agitate the mind. Some rape, some killing, somebody who is in live-in relationship kills the other partner, cuts that body into. It is very difficult even to give that example rather. By just talking about it itself, there is an emotional disturbance. So, there is nothing that we come across which cannot agitate the mind, which does not agitate the mind. And there is no benefit to any one of us in anything that we do from such news. And in fact, all this drama, these movies and all, the people who produce such movies, they actually play upon this very psychological phenomenon. They create the scenes, make the story deliberately to create emotional upheaval. because this emotional disturbance, some people become addicted to it. So they create, disturb the audience emotionally so that they will buy the tickets, go and see the movie, and those people will make money. Therefore, such emotional engagement disturbances are detrimental for a prajna. Therefore, a prajna must be extremely careful in exercising his choices. For first of all, allowing his sense organs to reach out to the sense object. And then the moment some threat to the emotional balance is perceived, the prajna must immediately withdraw his sense organs like the tortoise withdraws its limbs. He must be very choosy regarding his sensory interactions. Therefore, like a kurma withdraws, in the same way, indriyani indriyartebhyaha. Similarly, a prajna is one who withdraws the sense organ from the sense object judicially, intelligently, because prevention is easier. It requires a strong willpower, though. To say no to drugs the first time is easy. But if one is in the wrong company, the second time or the third time, the influence of the company becomes stronger and one's own will become weaker. Then as the influence grows, I become weaker and weaker and finally succumb to the temptation, succumb to the addiction. That is why in Ramayana, Vali is an example of every sensory addiction. Whenever Vali confronts anyone, half the strength of the other person goes to Vali. Similarly, every addictive thing, as long as it is not in the front, I am very strong. But once you confront them, half the strength is gone. Therefore, do not confront them at all. Say no in the beginning itself. And therefore, yaha indriyani indriyartebhyah samharate tasya prajna pratishtita bhavati. His knowledge would become stita prajna. A prajna will become stita prajna. This is the meaning of this sloka. And in the next sloka, Krishna says that as long as you keep feeding your sensory faculties with enjoyment of sensory pleasures, they will keep growing only. What you feed will grow. Therefore, what makes them drop off? I will just read the sloka and then stop. Okay. He says, Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehinaha rasavarjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. We will stop here, continue in the next class. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Guruji. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
We must thank God that today's class went without,
Yeah, there was no break.
no break. Other than the break I took for some, this thing. Oh,
Tomorrow's class also will be the same like.
yeah. Tomorrow's class also will be same. Hopefully everything will be fine. So we will have the class tomorrow also. No problem.
Thank you, Guruji.
Hari Om. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you. Thank you. Hari Om. Oh, Mr. Krishnan is there. Oh, yes, Krishnan is there. Not Narayan Krishna sent me a message that he will not be able to attend today. Good.
Yeah,
So, any questions?
nothing from my side.
Nothing. Good.
Thank you very much, sir. I'll
Right.
see you tomorrow.
Thank you all very much. So Vishnu Sahasranam
Thank you,
students,
Guruji.
we will meet tomorrow. Okay. Thank you. Hari Om. Thank you.
Thank you
Hari
very
Om,
much.
Guruji. Hari Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om. Thank you.